A lot of people talk about swapping over to E85. More power, cooler temperatures, cheaper at the pump, but is it really worth it or is it just all hype? Today, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons, the cost, and when it makes sense to swap over to E85. My name is Alberto and welcome to my channel. Now, one of the great things about running E85 is that it's a lot cheaper than pump gas, but at the same time, you probably burn through it a lot faster because I went from averaging somewhere between 16 and 17 miles per gallon on 91 to averaging somewhere between 10 and 12 miles per gallon on E85. When I'm doing the math, and while I don't have any hard figures, I know you're really not saving much money when you're swapping over to E85, but at the same time, at least it smells great and you're making more power. And speaking of power, let's talk about performance. And one of the great things about running E85 is it allows you to run more aggressive timing and more boost, which means more power. Now that we've talked about power on E85, let's talk about the mods we need to get there. And for that, we'll head back to the garage. Now, if you're planning on running E85, we're gonna need to upgrade a couple of parts on the car. Those parts being bigger injectors, an upgraded fuel pump, a flex fuel kit, and of course, a tune to support E85. As far as bigger injectors go, I can really only speak on the two cars that I've owned that have ran E85 in the past, that being my 2019 WRX and my personal 2017 STI that's sitting right behind me. Now, the WRX came direct injected. However, the STI comes port injected, which required me to upgrade to injector dynamic 1300cc injectors. At the minimum, you need to upgrade to injector dynamic 1050cc injectors for the STI platform. I'm not sure about other platforms, but just know if you're planning on running E85, you might have to upgrade the injectors. And a little bonus tip for you guys, if you're deciding between FIC injectors and ID injectors, I highly recommend you go with injector dynamics, just because fuel injector clinic injectors, FIC injectors, are actually not rated for alcohol-based fueling. And in order to make more power, part of that equation is actually upgrading the fuel pump. Now, there's a couple of options on the market, and this is speaking to the Subaru platform, which is pretty much everything that I know of, but you have AEM, DW, and of course, Walbro. Right now, I'm currently running an AEM 340 liter per hour low pressure fuel pump in my STI. That's the same fuel pump I actually ran in my 2019 WRX. It's a simple drop-in solution requiring little modification to the fuel basket in the back seat where the low pressure fuel pump actually sits. I have a YouTube video here on my channel if any of you guys are interested in checking that out on how to install that on your Subaru. In the future, we'll be switching to a radium dual hanger setup in order to support two fuel pumps in order to push more power. Now, as far as flex fuel kits go, they're essentially just ethanol content sensors. They're all based off some variation of the General Motors ethanol content sensor found in the MPC cars that are driving around. Cobb, Delicious Tuning, and IBR, which is I Build Race Cars, all make great kits. You can't go wrong with either of them. And the most important part of this equation is the tune, of course. You cannot forget the tune. Without the tune, none of this would be possible. I am currently running a flex fuel tune on my STI, meaning I can switch between E85 and pump gas whenever I want without having to change my map. It is really convenient, and hence the name flex fuel, because I have flexibility in choosing the type of fuel that I want. You don't want to skip out on the tune. You want a good tune in order to make sure the car runs safe. Now, speaking of safety, let's talk about reliability and maintenance. Now, you should know that E85 is actually a lot more corrosive than your typical gasoline that you'd find at the gas station, and for good reason. It's a lot more volatile. Oil changes, get ready to do them a lot more frequently if you don't already do them enough. I personally do my oil changes every 1,500 miles when I'm running E85, or every 3 months, whatever comes first, due to the fact that this STI is not a daily driver. And that's also because E85 dilutes oil a lot faster than typical gasoline. Now, this one's gonna be a fun one. If you guys live somewhere where it gets really, really cold, get ready for those brutal E85 cold starts. I don't really experience this living here in Southern California. Luckily, it's nice here all year round, but I have seen those infamous videos on YouTube of cars very much struggling to start on E85. And last but not least, I highly recommend you guys going out and buying an ethanol content tester. It is really going to be helpful if you're pumping E85 in an area that you really don't know the quality of that E85 station. It's fairly inexpensive. I think they're about, I don't know, $5 to $15. You can get them on Amazon, and it's just peace of mind if you're pumping gas in an area that you're not really familiar with. Now, speaking of gas stations, let's talk about E85 availability. After hearing all that great information about E85, I know you guys are super excited to switch over to it, but wait, you guys should really consider the availability of it in your area before you swap over to it, because not every single area has E85 available. Just to give you guys a little backstory, in my area, before they introduced 2 stations with E85 within a 5 to 10 minute drive from my house, I used to have to travel 15 to 20 minutes if I wanted to get E85, which meant I had to carry multiple jugs in my back seat and fill up every so often, just because it was really, really inconvenient for me to drive 15 to 20 minutes every single time I wanted to fill up on E85. So that's just something to consider. Now, in order to check if you have E85 stations near you, I highly recommend you guys download an app called Pearson's Fuels. You can see all the E85 stations local to you. So if you're interested in any of that, I recommend you checking that out. Now, let's talk about the last topic. Is it worth it? If you're running a turbocharged car, what are you still doing here watching this video? You should have clicked off of this a long time ago. E85 is 100% worth it for you. There is so much to gain running a turbocharged setup on E85. If you're running naturally aspirated, it's still worth it, especially if you're in California where we have really crappy 91 gas. You have the benefits of added knock protection, especially on those really hot days. Now, for my daily drivers out there, I still recommend running E85. My 2019 WRX, which was my daily driver at the time, was awesome. It was running E60 and I had a ton of fun on E85, even though my miles per gallon did suffer. Now let's go back to the gas station to give you guys my final thoughts. I recommend you guys swapping over to E85 if you can do it safely, meaning you get the proper supporting mods to run E85 as well as to tune. This is a no-brainer for me. If you don't have E85 readily available in your area, or you're just not ready to do the mods, I just wouldn't do it. I also don't advise you guys to swap over to E85 if it doesn't make sense to you financially. Just to give you guys an idea, it costs somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 to properly run E85 on an STI. That's injectors, fuel pump, fuel lines, fuel pressure regulator, fuel rails. It gets very expensive very quickly. And something else I want to just mention, I don't think you need E85 to have fun in a car. E85 just makes it a little bit better. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video and learned something new. Let me know what you think about E85 down below in the comment section. I really love interacting with you guys. And I just want to quickly say thank you to every single person that has subscribed in the last 2 weeks. We've just been growing like crazy. You guys motivate me to make better content and to keep these uploads coming. So if you enjoyed the video, maybe consider leaving it a like. Thank you as always. And again, I'll see you on the next one.